25.
This is Cruise Control. Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to Cruise Control. This is your on-air automotive magazine. You know that because you know us. I'm Les Jackson, the other guy. You know him very well, Fred Staub. He's ready to cut into some interesting stories, as am I. A lot going on and kind of some surprises.
Yeah, it's true, Les. It's the end of the year, and there is a lot going on in the automotive industry. And we're going to start with some good news that GM, Ford, and Stellantis can get back to work because they have tentative deals with the UAW. But what happens now to certain models, to pricing, to the plants?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
That's right. And on the bad news side, the $30,000 electric Equinox isn't happening. There's a lot going on the electric side that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it's true, Les. And, kind of the drumbeat continues with people saying, hey, maybe we're a little bit too far ahead of the game with electric vehicles. A lot of news of automakers losing money, and we'll talk about that.
Absolutely. And Kia tells its dealers no gouging, no price gouging when it comes to the new EV9 SUV. How many do you think will listen to them?
I feel they really don't care, and they will gouge, or they'll put like some vinyl stickers on the side, and then they'll say, it's a special edition. You have to give us $25,000 more. That's what I think they'll do. Load it up with peel and stick crap.
That's right. That's exactly right. And we're talking tech, aren't we?
Yeah, we sure are. Toyota is going to be reinventing the limited slip differential. You want to have two-wheel burnouts. You don't want to have one-leggers, as they call it,
That's
right?
exactly right. Well, limited slip's been around a long time, so we're anxious to say how this is different. And a good new catalytic converter theft this is good news, is slowing down finally. This has been a real plague in the petty theft arena for a number of years. It's not petty if it's your converter.
No, some people are paying up to $10,000, or they just can't get the parts, and I guess you don't use your vehicle then, or you use it and it sounds like it's got no muffler on it. It must sound terrible, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're also going to talk about the TLX from Acura that gets an update with plenty of tech and style. Hey, that's all coming up. That's a full show right here on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub, Les Jackson. We will be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson, we are glad you're along for the ride. As always, don't forget to check us out on our social media platforms, Cruise Control Radio, all that and more. Just search around for those terms and you'll find us. And got a lot of videos and reviews and things like that up there, so you want to check that out. Subscribe, like, whatever you do. I don't know what you do these days on some other forms of
Just
social
click
media.
all the buttons.
Push every button all at once.
That's right.
It's great when you're, talking social media or flying a jetliner. Just move every control all at once. It's the best way, right, Les? So let's talk about this. We've been keeping you up to date on the UAW strike. They called it the stand-up strike. They didn't strike at all the plants all at once. They kind of did it as a rolling strike, and they hit a lot of the big plants. Most recently, GM's Spring Hill Assembly Plant in Tennessee. They're building the Lyric and the Acadia. They struck there earlier this week. 5,000 workers walked out. Now it seems like there's a tentative deal with GM, Ford, and Stellantis, and big pay raises, and also the elimination of those ladders where people were doing the same job but were doing it for a lot less, which I always thought that was kind of unfair. That's not right.
It didn't make sense. I don't know why I guess they could get away with it, which is why they did it. But
I think it went back to 2008, believe it or not, when there was big strife in the industry once again, and so they said, "Hey," and they never got rid of it. So I think that's good. The big pay raises, what will that do to the auto industry? Will they be passed along? Well, here's the thing. I think prices are getting out of hand. I think I was thinking about this over the weekend, after our show over the weekend, and then more during the week. It's all about price. People don't want to spend on average $50,000 for a car that gets, it basically at this point, because of infrastructure, doesn't function as well as a gas car, right? It's not the car itself. It's the fact that, you can't charge it up as easily and all that. And they don't want to experiment. They don't want to spend that much. Maybe they'll spend 30, 35,000, but they don't want to really go beyond that. And I don't blame them. That's an awful lot of money to put in a car.
it really is. And unless you're personally equipped to charge it up in your 4,000 square foot house, it's a real problem. So a lot of people are just backing off. They're just worried about committing that much money. So, boy, things have just suddenly, it was like within the past 3 or 4 weeks, you're hearing about all of these electric vehicles just sitting
right
in the showrooms and lots. So,
well, I want to
wake up.
I want to know what happens to all the states that said they won't sell gasoline-powered vehicles or fossil fuel-powered vehicles by 2035. We still have some time. We know that there are better things on the horizon. Toyota's talked about it. A lot of people are talking about it. Solid-state batteries. Charging will get better. Hopefully, price will come down. But I don't think they're going to swallow this pill of going from, let's say, 35,000, 40,000 as the average, and it may be higher than that, but I'll use that as a number, to doubling it. I mean, hold on.
Yeah.
They're not going to – people don't want to do that, right?
Well, you can't do that. How many people can just suddenly spend twice as much for something they absolutely need,
right,
than they've always spent? It just doesn't work.
No, and then plus, no one really. There's not a lot of people that know how to fix these things. I don't think dealers know how to support them well. A lot of them. I don't want to paint with a big brush, but I think a lot of them just don't know. They're just selling cars, whatever. And, that's what's going on. But will we be ready by 2035 to say, I think they should include plug-in hybrids as well.
I think they want to. I think dealers want to. I think the manufacturers want to. And I think the buying public wants to. And there are plenty of them out there.
Right.
But, they don't want them to look like a Prius, like the old Prius look. And which brings up, after this strike is over and they've given all this money, more money to labor, what do they put out that's profitable enough to pay for all of these costs?
Well, you are Mr. Segway, because when we come back, we're going to talk about one vehicle that was supposed to be affordable, but it may not be affordable now. So stay tuned. We'll be talking about the Equinox EV on Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. Well, we're still talking about electric vehicles.
I think we will be for some time.
We will be. And before the break, Fred, you mentioned that something that was a bit of a savior in the EV market for Chevrolet, which is to say a not cheap but very affordable EV. Which was announced, lots of fanfare, and you're giving you're giving the bad word that it isn't going to happen.
Yeah, of course, we all know they were going to get rid of the Chevy Bolt, their least expensive electric car. Great car. You and I talked about it last week on Cruise Control, but they were going to replace it with the Chevy Equinox EV, a purpose-built EV, not an Equinox with a different powertrain in it, and going to be built in Mexico, and it was going to start at $30,000. So it put it at parity with the outgoing Bolt, and you get a newer car with a newer batteries, and it was okay, great. It's the next step. It's the new model. Well, it was announced this week that the 1LT model, which is the base model, will start at $34,995. So yes, 5,000 more, which is a big jump.
That is what the marketing people always like to say, a modest price boost. Which I'm not sure where they went to school,
right?
And what they refer to as modest, but yeah, that's how they try to couch it. And that you're not going to find one for that.
Yeah, and it's going to not have the range maybe that you want.
No.
And so the 1LT model is a front-wheel drive dual motor. It will have now. If you go up to all-wheel drive, listen to how fast the price goes up.
Boy.
In the 2RS trim level, front and all-wheel drive, right? Front goes up to $48,995. The all-wheel drive goes up to $52,395. But they said, but you get a power-operated tailgate, heated front seats, and a 17-inch touchscreen. But here's the thing. There are a lot of cars for $30,000 or $35,000 that will give you those amenities, won't they?
Well, that's right. And, that's a $14,000 price jump.
And you're at that pain point of $50,000. I mean,
man. Yeah, so I don't think too many Equinoxes are going to sell in the high end because there's too much competition there.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that say, well, I don't want a Chevrolet for that price. I want something more trendy.
Yeah.
Some people are just like that.
Yeah. To put it in perspective, I've had people around my neighborhood say, is Chevrolet still making cars? They don't consider them. They just don't consider them. They don't even know what I told you. One guy said when I was driving the Corvette, and I said, oh, well, this is the new Corvette. It's mid-engine. I understand he might not have recognized it because it's different than the other one. He goes, who makes Corvettes? What brand? Well, I've never heard of that name.
I've gotten that question too before, and that was never the case.
No, in the past.
But yeah, Chevrolet just is becoming maybe a forgotten name
in certain areas. In certain areas, certainly not in trucks. Certainly in certain areas of the country, people just don't consider it. And I tell the story of the guy that had the Mustang and the electric Mustang, and he said it was drilled into him never buy an American manufactured vehicle. And this was really a big step for him. He was a true conquest to get into the Mach-E, and he was the guy that said, what's a Corvette? Like I say, it was the first time the C8 was out, so I could agree with him. Maybe he thought it was a Ferrari or a McLaren or something like that, but really not to know the name Corvette and be like living in the U.S.
Yeah, where have they been living?
It's just a different take, and I sometimes when I would talk to the GM executives, they would not get that. They would not understand that there are people that just don't know anything about what they sell. They just don't think about it, So
that's right. It's entirely new generations are out there. What is it? I just read the other day. There are like 52 million people alive right now who have never used a dial phone.
I never thought about that, but
I mean,
yeah,
it's
you know,
amazing.
I watch a lot of old shows on TV, on things like Me TV and that, and it's funny. They're like, "Well, I'll call him," and it's like, and it seems like it takes the guy 10 minutes to dial the phone.
Yeah, that's that's right.
So,
Yeah.
well, let's move on to our next story, and this involves a manufacturer that I think could potentially be or is one of the big leaders in electric vehicles. That is Kia. They have their EV9 coming out, and this is basically for them going to be probably as hot as the Telluride is or was, their full-size SUV. I think it's still pretty hot, and they're worried. They have politely asked their dealers not to gouge on pricing of the EV9 when it comes out. And I don't know. I don't know. They said this is going to be a tough launch for us. We want it to be launched correctly. I don't know if the dealers will listen to them. They don't have
I
to, but,
No.
if you don't get hard-nosed with them, like Jim Farley did at Ford, telling them, well, then you just won't get the vehicles if you're marking up the Lightning. That I don't know if they can control them. What do you think?
I don't think they can. I think what'll happen is some really established dealers that are famous for one price deals and all of that. They'll stick with the price, but the other dealers that know they don't have a lot of competition in those cities, I think they'll just crank it up.
Right. Or as I said during the open of the show, they will, well, this is our Johnson's Auto Car dealer special with some vinyl stripes and,
That's
as
right.
I said, peel and stick chrome pieces, and they'll put like a bumper guard on it or something like that, and then
Yep,
all the crap is worth maybe like $500, and then they'll
that's
add
right.
$25,000 to the sticker.
And you're going it comes, this is the special model. It comes with fabric protection
Yeah, the can of
and
spray. Yeah,
yeah, and undercoating.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Only $2,000.
we have a mutual friend. I won't mention his name, but he said back in the day when you sold cars, before they put window stickers on it, you'd look at the car and there'd be a man's tied hanging around the rearview mirror on the inside. And they would say like, well, the price of the car is $5,000, but the rule is everyone has to buy the tie, which is another $500. That's what they
Yep,
would do. I mean, real sleazy. I
it's just uh,
I saw an episode, as I told you, I watch old TV shows. I saw an episode of Twilight Zone that I've never seen before. And it was an unscrupulous used car dealer. And someone brought in a Model A and told him the car was haunted, but he sold him it. And it made you tell the truth. So all of a sudden, the car dealer, it was the used car dealer was saying, don't buy this. It's going to fall apart. You don't want to buy this. I have junk on my lot. It was very funny.
wow.
I've never seen that episode, but it made me laugh, and it was fun. So, hey, we will be right back with Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub, Les Jackson, stay tuned. We're just getting started.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson, and I believe the Cruise Control cat, Buncher, is with us.
Cruise Control Kitty is joining in. He's going to render his opinion of the back seat.
Okay, that's good. I don't. Do cats like traveling in cars? Some dogs.
No,
like
they
it.
don't.
How do you really feel?
They are cats. I'm sure some cats might, but most cats are actually subject to motion sickness, and they just don't like different surroundings, much less moving. So
I know. My dog.
No.
Yellow Lab, she used to sit backwards, and it made her feel better. And she would have to have a window open where she could sniff the air, like just a little bit, not hanging her head out, just a inch, so she could get some air, and that made her feel better. But she would get motion sickness, and
wow,
it was eventually she got over it, and because we used to take her on big trips across the country, but it was, it was. A little bit of a rough go when she was a puppy when we first discovered that.
Yeah, it's tough on animals.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what is this? And other dogs love it. Other dogs will just jump in. It's like, great, where are we going? So. Hey, let's do a little talking tech. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
Okay, limited slip differentials. You know them, you love them. You want to do a two tire burnout, you need them. Otherwise, in a traditional rear-wheel drive car, you will just be turning the right rear wheel, right?
Well, or whichever, yes. Typically, only one wheel does the driving, does the motivating.
Even in a front-wheel drive car?
Yes, but less so.
Okay, because you get torque steer.
But
if
most
you had...
front-wheel drive cars are semi limited slip anyway.
Yeah.
To prevent torque steer.
I wonder how that got started. Why? Because logically you would think, well, you got two wheels on the ground, they're both going to turn with force because you would think like if you just had one wheel going on one side, your thought would be right away that the car would just go to that direction, right?
Right. But of course it varies. It depends on the terrain and turns and all that, which wheel is driving.
Yeah.
The really limited slip differentials only really came about in the early days of powerful cars for acceleration, so both rear tires could grip and move you along quickly.
Yeah, in drag racing, they used to call it a Detroit locker. They would weld the spider gears that allow you to have a differential and wheels to move it. And literally, you're pulling up to the line. You're dragging one tire because it can't turn faster than the other one. So, but they didn't care. They wanted to lay it down on the track. So, well, let's talk about what Toyota's doing. And they're trying to take this concept, as you said, which goes back to at least the 50s, 60s, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Early 50s.
And update it. And they're using a first and second side gears that are housed in the housing of the differential. There's a clutch that breaks the differential, the first and second side gears, an actuator that applies force. And what they're trying to do is make this rear end or front end or all-wheel drive system reactive to the inputs of the drivers. So they just don't want it to come on full force. It might come in a little bit. Maybe if it's an all-wheel drive system, the front will, its limited slip system will engage, but the back won't. They want to bring it up that it's just not an on or off system, if I'm understanding what they're proposing. And it seems like a great way to update this. I mean, we talked about Toyota last week trying to update the automatic transmission, so it kind of, once again, was not just shifting on RPM. There was more parameters in there. There's more driver input being considered, making this thing more I'll call it adaptive to the driver, would you say?
That's right. And this really is only going to be wanted or even noticed by more specialized or skilled drivers for the performance set, especially people that like to do a lot of spirited turns.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You like to be able to control the differential, so you can just introduce a tiny bit of slide. And for off-roaders, they really like to set their vehicles up the way they want them set up. So it gives them that ability, and it's clever, and it seems kind of simple. It's just an ECU that's doing all the thinking,
Right.
which is much faster than people think.
Well,
Not
and by the way, this comes from CarBuzz. They discovered the patent with the World Intellectual Property Organization, and they always are looking out for these things. And we like to share these stories from CarBuzz because they are very interesting. The other thing is this could be a good use of machine learning or AI to see how the person drives. Remember, oh, well, on that hill, when they want to go up, last time we engaged the limited slip diff on the rear, and it worked well, so we're going to do it again, right?
That's right. Plus, it can be programmed for the best possible fuel economy.
Right, exactly.
Which is great.
Yeah. So making the system more sophisticated, having it kind of more tied into the vehicle, more inputs, more control, making it not a light switch on and off. It seems like a good thing. It definitely seems like a good thing.
Yeah.
So. Were you a Audi TT fan, by the way?
I wasn't a fan of the way they looked. Initially, I kind of like the way they looked now.
Uh-huh.
But they were fun to drive. I tested one of the early ones, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's going away. They're dropping that model, and they announced this week that the final edition, the Audi TT Roadster Final Edition, which will be only available in Goodwood Green Pearl. Beautiful seats, by the way. Look at that interior. That is...
Yeah. Oh, they're pretty.
This is going to be the goodbye to this vehicle. It will, as I said, Goodwood Green, exclusive Palomino brown stitching, exclusive floor mats, Audi magnetic ride, extended leather package and seat color, gray convertible top, 20 by 9-inch wheels. Wow, that is a small vehicle to be rolling on 20s, isn't it?
Well, it is, but what isn't rolling on 20s?
Yep. Carbon fiber matte inlays and S-line exterior. Collectible piece for the future? What do you think?
I think yes. There's a fair market on the collectible side for TTs. A lot of interest in them.
Yep.
This is not going to be an inexpensive Audi TT.
No, I don't think we have pricing on it yet. But
actually, we do.
Do we? Oh my!
Yes,
we
it's
do.
$67,800, which is okay. No thanks.
Yeah, that's a lot of chips. And once again, if it is an ending model, the gouge indicator may be illuminated.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right.
I do. Yeah, what do you think of the color, though? I like the color and the interior.
I like Goodwood green. I like most greens. Yes, when you said gouging, I was thinking that every dealer has the gouge-o-meter in his office.
This one's a hot one. Let's.
That's right. Where that one go?
Let's pot it up. Let's send it, man. Let's close up early. So, Let's do a little good news here. Catalytic converter theft. We talked about it. People were building cages for their catalytic converters. Some manufacturers were even doing things at the factory, which I think is a good idea. But claims have fallen considerably in the past year, according to State Farm. There's been a dramatic drop in claims, and this is good news. Last year they received more than 23,000 catalytic converter claims. Now that's down to 14,500, down from a staggering 45,000 claims earlier.
Boy.
So it seems like some of these programs that are being initiated, like you can't buy a used catalytic converter you have to buy it from a salvage yard, licensed, might be helping. So that's good news for all of us. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the Acura TLX. So stay tuned.
Back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. Yes, we were finishing up with the catalytic converter thefts, and
good news.
Fortunately, not to mention the Audi TTs, which you're going to buy one, Fred? That's
no. How's that?
That's quite a coincidence. Neither am I.
I'm sure
it's a nice car.
Oh, it's nothing wrong with the car. The price is just the price is just a little high for my taste.
It's a little heavy,
little small for my taste, and I wonder what that short wheelbase will be like rolling on 20-inch wheels. They're beautiful wheels, but it's kind of a small car for big wheels. That's what I'm just saying.
It is, and well, it's just too much money for basically not a toy. But I don't think it's something you'd want to take on a long trip.
No, it's a little too small for me. But I'm sure they'll sell every one of them.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to this.
Acura.
Acura. We don't really talk about Acura that much, and TLX, one of my favorite Acuras, has gotten new tech, a quieter cabin. It also gets a high-performance 20-inch wheels. I guess everything is going to roll on 20-inch wheels.
There you are.
By the way, if you want to be economical, 20-inch wheels are not the way to go, are they?
They are not. The wheels are expensive. The tires are expensive. The ride is typically not very good.
They're heavier, unsprung weight.
Yep.
And, but hey, the price of style. So what's new for the 2024 Acura TLX Sports Sedan? I said sedan there. I use that word openly, freely. New front fascia with frameless diamond pentagon grille.
Okay.
Standard equipment, 19-inch wheels, Milano leather, ELS Studio Premium audio, Ionic drive, ambient lighting, and the previously optional technology package. I love a red interior, by the way. I think that looks cool.
I do like red or orangey-ish red with silverish outside.
New 12.3-inch HD dual content display, 20% larger. New configurable 12.3-inch precision cockpit. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I love that, by the way. The vehicle I'm driving now, a Subaru Crosstrek. You can leave your phone in your pocket and all the navigation just comes up on your screen. It works wonderfully. You don't have to have a cable. It's great. Acura Watch suite of safety and driver assistive systems have been improved. New front millimeter wave radar package, expanded blind spot, new rear seatbelt reminder system, and some new colors, including urban gray and liquid carbon metallic, and split spoke 19-inch wheels.
Well, that's not exactly a small wheel.
No, but it is the smallest I think you can get on this car.
Yeah. Now Audi has a pretty sophisticated ride, so they're fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
Horsepower. When I say Audi, I'm talking about Acura.
Acura. Two engine packages. A 2-liter turbo, 10-speed automatic, 272 on the horse, 280 on the torque, and then you still can get a 3-liter turbocharged V6, also with a 10-speed.
Big engine these days.
355 horsepower, 354 on torque. Of course, you're going to be rolling on the 20s on that one. What do you think of the gray color? I happen to like that gray color. I remember when it came out on a Jeep or something similar to it, and I thought, yeah, that was kind of unique. It's become a lot more commonplace now. Are you a fan of it?
It has. It's a nice gray. I mean, there's some really boring grays out there.
That's true.
But this is a nice one. It looks, more rich.
Yeah.
How it handles, how it looks 5 or 6 years down the road, I don't know. But
yeah. Imagine that with a red interior. That would be interesting with black accents.
The only thing that I don't care for is the screen sticking up in the center of the dash. I just would rather they not intrude on some of the windshield space.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I understand. I'm driving this Subaru Crosstrek right now, and it has the vertical, and I kind of like the vertical. It's easy to see at night. You can have multiple displays on it. If you want to look at what's on the radio and the nav. And I'm a big fan, as I said, of the ease of wireless Android Auto. It's worth it.
I drove the Crosstrek about 3 weeks ago, just for a little while, and I was really impressed with the quality of the ride, and it was very quiet inside.
They have enhanced the sound deadening for 2024. Yep. Yeah. And we'll have a full review of that in a couple of weeks. The only thing I've found so far that's missing, and it's like a thing on the internet, is they don't offer it with a heated steering wheel. Now, everyone offers a heated steering wheel.
No, that's right.
Only in Canada. They will, people go to Canada and buy a Canadian one so they can get the heated steering wheel. One guy spent $3,000 and bought all the parts and retrofitted it. Why do you think they do that? Why don't they just put it in there, or for more money?
I can't imagine what the decision-making process is.
Yeah, everything else is there. It's all good. It's got a lot of technology, all the safety, heated seats, which are great. Everything's there. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. It's all there. It's lane keeping. It's great. That's the only thing that's missing. So my solution is you just get a pair of gloves. It's a cheap solution. I wouldn't take the whole dashboard apart and try to
put your gloves on, or put a heating pad on. One of those pipe heaters that
they make heated steering wheel covers, but it has a cable.
Yeah.
Can imagine how wound up that will be by the end of the day.
Boy.
So, but the solution may be heated gloves. They do sell gloves you plug into your USB.
That's right.
You charge them up, and then you wear them. And
gloves are fine.
Yeah,
we've worn them our whole lives.
Yeah, it's just odd to me that they didn't do that.
It's a thing. Yeah,
it's a thing. It's a thing, and it's a thing on the internet, and no one knows why. I mean, it's not like they don't have it in any car, but the ones that go to Canada get that. I just don't understand it. But who knows with packaging? Maybe there's a real technical reason for it. That
can't imagine what it is.
I don't know. I just think they should do it. Then it would be pretty much all there. It would be pretty perfect. So, but you couple a wireless phone charger with wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it's pretty darn good. And it's almost better than having a built-in navigation system, I think, because you can set up that route before you get going at your computer, and then it's right there. And how that navigation system works, and Google Maps works pretty darn well, I think. So there's my take. There's my review for before the review.
There you are.
Next week, we're going to review the Equinox, the 2024 model. Interesting there. Also a good small CUV. Going to get a complete redo in 2025. And one of the things I like might be going away in 2025. And we'll discuss that next week when I do the review of that. So a couple of interesting vehicles that don't break the bank. So we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Check us out on all our social media platforms. Look for Cruise Control Radio, etc. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.